Consistent self-improvement, everybody. You are now listening to American gypC Podcast. I am your host, Classic, and I'm here with my co-host,
gypC. And today we have Finch. He is a content creator, influencer, speaker, and host of Off the Fence with Finch podcast. Welcome.
Hey,
welcome.
you memorize all that?
Yeah.
Man, you better than me.
And
I have to read off the cue cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. To be honest, I do have a cheat sheet.
Where is it at?
It's a little whiteboard.
Oh my
goodness. I usually have it on the screen, but today we're doing a live session.
Got
so
you.
I'm like, okay, how do I do this? I put it.
Oh, that's cool.
So for our listeners, we also Finch is also in studio with us, so it's a very special moment for us. You know, we've had maybe 2 in-house guests this year.
Okay.
Not counting Mercedes, who is a regular. So we're very honored to have you here with us today.
Likewise, man. Glad to be here.
So to get started for the listeners, tell us a little bit about yourself, like, where you from
and
how you get to LA or are you from LA?
I'm not from LA.
Okay.
Man. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta.
Yeah, so I'm a long way from home,
Okay.
But I made LA my home about almost 10 years ago now. So loving the city. You can't LA, you know, outside of traffic. Now it took like 900 hours to get here. But outside of that, LA is beautiful, surrounded by mountains, beautiful weather every day. You can't be mad. So
yeah.
So
Atlanta, we actually met in Atlanta.
And
we used to live there. I lived in Marietta for 7 years. Tell us about Atlanta growing up for you in Atlanta, because of course we all look up to Atlanta for where our hip hop culture come from and that vibration. So what was it like for you?
Man, I had a unique childhood in Atlanta because I grew up in the housing projects of Atlanta. However, my mother crafted this wonderful idea that she wanted myself and my middle brother to have a different life experience. So she bussed us out about an hour and some change away to beautiful Buckhead to go to school.
Okay.
So we had a whole different experience when it came to our day life versus our nightlife. In the daytime, we were surrounded by an aristocratic community of people who had a wealth. They had generations of wealth. Their fathers were CEOs of companies, celebrities. And by night, we were surrounded by drug dealers, shooting and killings and murders in Atlanta. And so my life was a little different, and I learned so much between the difference in how you live every day as a Black man in Atlanta versus who you're surrounded with by daytime, because I'm talking about politicians, we're talking about presidents, kids, you name it. They went to my school. My school was a performing arts school. So that's why so many people were invested in that school. Today, that school is a $150 million school.
Wow.
Yes. And it's a one-of-a-kind school in Atlanta, So, Jasmine Guy, mother taught at my school. She was my English teacher. So, that's the type of life I had by day versus by night. And as a kid, you don't understand the differences in, why my life like this versus like this. Like I saw people I would go to friends' houses and it was like day and night because I'm looking at the small apartment we lived in versus the big mansions they live in. So, that was life for me in Atlanta. But my mother made sure we didn't want for anything. So we didn't know we was poor, So, that was my life coming up in Atlanta.
Understood. I understand your perspective on that because I grew up playing cello in West Jackson, Mississippi. So, we spent a lot of time in orchestra with, different races of people, but we also lived in West Jackson in the hood.
Yep.
And it's funny that you brought that up as far as you didn't, or that not knowing you were poor. I can't even say that I necessarily looked at it that way, even when we were growing up, because, we still lived in West Jackson, but I still acquired some things and learned some things. My mom did some things outside of the box. Even we had an exchange student,
right?
That lived in the hood with us. And when I went to live with him, I realized, oh man, living with us must have been it must have been a whole different type of ball game or lifestyle. It was a different experience for him. Right. So I understand what you mean on being grateful for at least understanding both ways of being exposed to where you want to be,
Right.
and also understanding where your parents came from and why you are where you are as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, you think about when you have an innovative mother and they want something more for you than they have for themselves, that's now you exposed to various cultures. You're exposed to a whole different style of life that you didn't know existed. A lot of my friends were corner boys, drug dealers, and a lot of them didn't make it out. I mean, I seen a couple of my friends not make it in our neighborhood. But when your parents see something different from you, I didn't grow up with my dad. I have a great relationship with my father now, but I didn't grow up with him. So
Right.
not having that environment, not being in a two-parent household or seeing life from my father's perspective. My father was an attorney for the King family. Like we talking about Martin Luther and them,
Okay.
and so he had a whole different lifestyle than I had. And as a kid, when your mother put you in things that allow you to grow and flourish, I think that's the reason why my mind is the way it is now, because my mother taught me not to look at the poverty that we had, but to look at life in a different perspective and what I could be versus what I was, what I could become versus who I was at that time. And so that made life different for me, because otherwise I would not have been exposed to Academy of Finance. As a junior and senior in high school, I was in a program that afforded me an internship that I didn't have to do anything for. It's just because of who I was connected to in the school I went to. I was able to go to the Federal Reserve, and just walk in.
Mm.
Everybody from my neighborhood didn't get that. And I was telling my wife a couple of days ago, when we watch things and we look at how people think, okay, you grew up in the hood and you get an opportunity, people always equate that to you think you're better than us.
Yeah.
I got that a lot with my friends because my mother said, I don't want you to end up like them. You know what I'm saying? Some of their parents was on drugs and involved in a host of other things. And my mother was like, no, I don't want that for my kids. So let me expose them to a whole different dynamic, a whole different culture, so that they grow up thinking, okay, it's something better than the hood. And I think in our society, we don't oftentimes teach our kids when we grow up in the hood. And it's primarily because out of ignorance. Hey, there's better for you. You don't have to succumb to this mentality. You can be more. And that's one of the things I loved about my mom, was she taught me I could become more and I could dream bigger than what I probably would have had I went to a school in my neighborhood, So
Right. And I understand what you mean. It's like you want to be, I'm great. We're grateful for knowing that we can make it out, and some of us are going to make it out.
Right.
And we also have, like I said, our people that are probably not going to make it out. And we just still want to be, understandable of each one. It's not saying that, we don't understand where we came from, but we also know that, hey, I'm, like you said, feeling like you're better than anybody else. No, that's not the case. It's just want better or want something different, or want a Los Angeles versus, a Mississippi. There's a big difference, but it's hard to explain. It's not necessarily saying that, I feel like I'm better than my people back in Mississippi, just because I do often say, hey man, you got to check out, Los Angeles. And, sometimes you get a feeling of, everybody can't do that, but it's like, yo, it's a similar struggle. It was the same type of fight, same thing out there. It's just a lot more opportunity as well. So I'm not saying, I'm knocking where I came from, whether it's West Jackson, everybody that didn't make it out, anything, not knocking that as well. Cause it's to still have that heart, like, yo, this is my people. But I'm not saying that I would thrive in it today.
Right. Yeah.
I still wouldn't. And I'm still not saying I'm better than that, but it's like, yo, I would rather pull you into it, to see something else, because I've seen that as well. And that's kind of what it is for me. I like to try to promote, and I try not to come off like I'm pushing somebody outside of their comfort zone so much, but I do like to promote. Even in Atlanta, I say, hey man, Atlanta people, I like for y'all to come out and check out Los Angeles, because I know that power in Atlanta as well. And I see a difference in certain things that go on out here, because even since we've been out in Los Angeles, we've been on more of the downtown north side. So we don't necessarily know what's going on in the Black communities of Los Angeles. We know what's going on, but there's still that it's a hesitation to a certain degree, because it's not our hood. And we understand. I drove Uber here, so I got an understanding of what's going on, but it's not necessarily saying that, or I can, like I said, I see some help that could take place that I see that is really thriving in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, could that connection ever happen? Yeah. And wondered why and certain things like that. But it's not saying that, Los Angeles is better than Atlanta. It's not saying that Atlanta is better than Los Angeles. It's not even saying from Mississippi that Mississippi is better than or Atlanta is better, but understanding the opportunity and a difference. When I went to Brazil at 15, I saw a difference that let me know, I'm not living in Mississippi my whole life. Ain't no way, so, and it blew up even more from America. Cause it's more like, all right, I'm not even living in America my whole life.
Right.
There's that much of a possibility, because I know a lot of people still say, all right, we can live in America is the place, but sometimes we don't even know what is overseas that's even for us as well.
That's true.
Yes, they have their ghettos and hoods and stuff overseas as well. Not saying it's any different. Same struggles.
Yep.
But, it's more encouragement than saying that, you're better than anybody just because you were exposed to Buckhead versus Bankhead.
In some cases, you are. And it's not a better as I'm better than you, but because of what you are exposed to, you have a better grasp, you have a better mentality. And let's face it, that's just true. In some aspects, my mother made me better than a lot of my neighbors and a lot of my friends because of the mentality I was able to adopt. Not having a ghetto mentality allowed me to get out of the ghetto. Like you can go back to Atlanta now, and some of those same people are doing the same thing and living in the same neighborhoods.
It's kind of scary
because the cycle was perpetuated because their mothers lived there, their mother's mother lived there, their mother's mother lived there, they lived there, their kids lived there, and that cycle goes on. And until you shift and change that mindset, we could have been them.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
I'm grateful even now to where, my family, we've grew up in West Jackson, but West Jackson is West Jackson. And I'm grateful that to still have my whole family.
And that you're not in West Jackson.
And that I'm not in West Jackson, and, like I said, my family is still in West Jackson, and I still have to be grateful that I still have my family because they even survived West Jackson,
But a lot of them looking at you, because listen, I love Atlanta, but the fact that I live in Los Angeles, a lot of friends and family see it as, oh, wow, you live in Los Angeles. And they don't see themselves ever being able to do that.
And I want to encourage that, that's not the case.
Right.
I drove Uber when I first got here for the year and a half. My wife is a web developer, but when we moved out here, the things we were planning on working out didn't work out.
Yeah.
So we basically just had to, we not leaving. So, and we're blessed to, it worked out.
It worked out.
And like I said, after driving Uber for a year and a half, that helped because I got a chance to learn the people, different areas of LA. I learned it. A lot of people that be on the south side don't go to the north side. A lot of people that's on the north side don't go to the south side, east side, west side. People don't go everywhere, so it's similar to different cities. But one of the things when I left from street performing, from driving Uber, I went to street performing.
Okay.
So it's in downtown LA. It's where more homeless people are, but it's not a gang area. It's not a area that I guess, used to, maybe they keep talking about how LA has changed. This area has changed from 10, 20 years ago, however, but it's not what I would call a dangerous neighborhood. Other
Right.
people would look at downtown LA as something else. They would look at the homeless people as one thing, but no, downtown LA is not a dangerous neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it could be my personal opinion, but you're talking to a black man that played the cello on the sidewalk and got love from everybody. A lot of people didn't have no problem like that.
Yeah.
So I would say it's not a dangerous place. A lot of people wouldn't feel the same.
Yeah.
But that's the experience in what this type of big city has taught me. Even in Atlanta, I was the first friend I stayed with, Franklin Road in Marietta.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know anything about Franklin Road. It was just more of I'm transitioning. You know, then later on to learn, it's like, oh, Franklin Road wasn't quite as good of a, had a rep. But that's, you know, it was the transition, you know, and I'm here now.
Yeah.
And even when I first left Mississippi, I left for $400 and came to Long Beach. And then, you know, life went on from there.
I had $100 when I left Atlanta.
Mm.
Probably, no, not even $100, $98. So
and you came here?
Came here. One-way ticket.
Man, that was fast.
I think that $98 lasted me 2 weeks.
Wow.
And crazy story. A week after I got here, I landed a brand deal with Microsoft. And they flew me out to Seattle for a week. And when I came back to LA, it was like, okay, now I can make some money. Because at first it was like, I was homeless. I was sleeping in a transitional house. Literally didn't have a clue on what life was going to be like at that point. Like, I flew here. Story. Got to tell it to you.
Yeah.
Got to. It's my wife. I call her Coconut. Y'all might call her Coco. So I was dealing with a lot of life issues at the time, right? Needed a transition. I have a friend, well-known actor. The year before that, he was going through a lot of stuff. We share the same birthday, so we used to call each other on our birthdays. So I called him the year before, and he was like, man, I'm broke. I was like, oh yeah, you broke? How you broke? You know, because when you see people on television, you don't think they can go broke.
Right.
And he was like, people want money. They want me to spend money. I don't have any money to spend. And literally he was losing it. And he was like, man, you the only person who phone call I answered today. And I was like, man, that's crazy. Spent a little time talking, encouraged him. Fast forward a year later, I'm dealing with something similar. And I'm literally sitting in my truck in Atlanta contemplating suicide. Literally, like, I want to end it all. Ain't even worth it. I text him and I said, hey man, you remember a year ago on our birthdays when you was dealing with your situation? Because at this point, he's on a new show, thriving. I said, how did you bounce back? He didn't text me back. He called me. Yo, what's going on, dude? And I was like, man, I'm just dealing with it. He's like, where are you? I said, I'm in Atlanta. He said, that's your problem. I said, what you mean? You need to be in LA. What do you need to get here? I was like, man, place to stay, work, money. Literally, probably a few days later, he sent me money to buy a one-way plane ticket. That's how I got here. He set me up to get an apartment with these two guys that worked in production. They dropped the ball. And this is something I learned about LA. You got to be on it when it comes to finding a place to live in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball. They were supposed to go by, do something, drop off some money or something that he had given them. They didn't do it. Day before I got here, I learned I didn't have a place to stay. Literally, day before I got here, still got on the plane. Came here. Was calling different places, Salvation Army. And the second place I called, I can't remember the name of it, my friend's house or something like that. Guy answered phones like, all right, come in tomorrow morning. It was like a Saturday morning because my flight was like Saturday evening. And I was concerned because all the places I was calling was like, you gotta live here already and be homeless here in LA. And I was like, well, I'm gonna be homeless coming to LA. That wasn't the plan, but I'm gonna be homeless. I'm not currently homeless because I'm living in Atlanta. And so I was trying to outsmart the system because I was like, I already got this ticket. I'm not coming. And I got here, and the guy was like, "Man, just call me when you get to the airport." He sent a car. He came and got me from the airport, and I was standing in this place, man. I'm talking about we in the bunk beds in this room. It's a lot of beds in this room, and it was probably one of the worst experiences I had ever had up until that point in my life. And I was like, man, if I can just survive this night, I knew it would get better. And literally a week later, I got a brand deal from Microsoft to roll out the Xbox One when it first came out, and that changed my life.
Wow.
Literally, that's the story of how I got to LA. That changed my life. And like the guy, my friend that I was telling you about, he let me come work for him on the weekends, and he paid me to come work for him. He had this football league, this bunch of celebrities that used to play in this football league up in Woodland Hills. And so that's how I started making it here. And it was a struggle for about 7 months because I bounced around, and me and my wife were just talking about this on the way here. We was passing 6th Street, and I remember a hotel I used to stay in. I used to bounce around from hotel to hotel, and I was like, yo, I remember this hotel I used to stay in right here. And literally, I can put my hands on the wall. The room was so small.
Wow.
But I was just happy not to be living outside because I had a fear of ended up on Skid Row. And I was like, I didn't come this far to just come this far and be outdoors. So I was happy. And I had a lot of people who supported me at that time, whether they was paying for a hotel room for a week, getting me a rental car, because I didn't have a car when I first got here. You know, I came here with 2 suitcases and $98. You know what I'm saying? And so oftentimes we don't look at the journey enough because we're looking at where we're not versus how far we've come. And every time I think about that, even now, thinking about life now, like, man, you made it. So a lot of people come here, end up leaving here. They end up on the streets or worse. But I've been here 10 years. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful for this journey.
Yeah, I'm glad you told that story because I just talked to somebody today that's single, pretty comfortable in life, and was looking to move here, but still is like, oh, I don't know. It looks, it's pretty scary, cost of living and all of this stuff you tell yourself about moving here. But it's like, even when we moved here, it was, we probably could have saved up more, and we were pretty comfortable where we were. But I was in the mindset of, I don't care if we don't find an apartment. I don't care if we have to stay in somebody's couch as an Airbnb. Like, I just want to go, and we'll figure it out from there. And that's kind of
we had
the
3
mindset.
days in Airbnb,
Yeah.
and then we got this apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you like her. That's how she be talking.
Yeah.
Pick that mic up.
Yeah.
That's how she be talking. What you just said is how my wife talks to me about, you just got to do it. And I think so many times I'm guilty of this myself. We talk ourselves out of doing stuff because we look at, what if this happened? What if it don't? I have this saying, go after what you want so you don't have to settle for what you can get. And it sounds like that's what you guys did.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, hey, we moving to LA, we don't care. And we're gonna make it. I think sometimes we allow that one little trickle of doubt to come into our mindset, our mind space. And once that happens, it starts compounding. So now we start thinking about all the things we can't do, that we never focus on the things that we actually can do. And so this is why I love this woman.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
You too, babe. Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm Coco, Finch's coconut.
You pull a little closer. Pull your mic a little closer.
Pull your mic closer to your mouth.
Yeah.
Can
y'all hear me now?
Put it on this thigh.
Oh, okay.
That's a good thigh.
That's a good thigh.
Right, yeah, that's a good
Can y'all
thigh
hear
right
me
there.
now? That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
I'll reintroduce myself, but I'm Coco, and Finch's coconut.
That's right.
But
So where are you from?
So I'm actually born and raised from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yes.
Y'all don't hear that?
So you got Mississippi, Atlanta, and New Orleans.
New
Yeah.
Orleans, as Finch says, dirty South.
Yeah, the N-O. NOLA.
Yeah, so I born and raised in New Orleans, living here in LA with my husband. But I've traveled all over the world too, and I can relate so much to just this conversation, having the opportunity to see the world from a different perspective allows you to grow in so many ways. And when you're able to reach back into your community, even if it's just as an example, someone seeing you come from the same place that they've come from, now being able to travel to different places and see different places, live in different places, gives hope. And I am just like you. I tell him now, like, we have to be present. You have to live like you only have right now. So let's go. Like, get your ass up and let's go. Let's get it.
You didn't ask them if you could cuss.
I did. I'm so sorry. Is that okay?
You good.
Look, I'm from New Orleans, so we speak with color.
You might get them banned with the FCC.
No, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. So what's your feel on Los Angeles?
Man, it's beautiful, being a little Black girl from New Orleans who is surrounded by water, and not beautiful water like this. I'm talking about the Mississippi River.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, having days driving across the bridge, like, oh my God, the water. And now living and breathing and seeing that daily in California it's a dream. When they say California dreaming, it's definitely a dream. But when you can put all of your aspirations and your, just strength into living your dream, it's possible, And so for me, living here has been an experience, but also a change in perspective, because it's not just, oh, I made it to California, I made it in life, right? It's another opportunity. And so I'm going to live it and take my husband on this road, and we're going to do the damn thing. So living in California has definitely been an experience for me, and just seeing life from a different perspective, seeing homeless. I've lived in Houston for 8.5 years, and seeing the poverty and just homeless side of the world it's sad. It can be depressing. It makes you think about what you have and grateful for those things, but also wanting to help and remembering your purpose and your why for why you're even here, to help others. So, I try not to get too caught up in, oh, I'm living in Cali, so I'm living life, I'm doing good. You need to come here, like y'all was saying, being better than people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about that at all.
Right.
Like, I'm looking for more ways to help so I can help the people who see me on a daily and say, okay, I see you, girl. Like, I can do it too. Yeah. It's all possible. So, that's what Cali has done for me living here. Just change my perspective and mindset on how I move in the world and how I can be of service to others.
Yeah. What inspired you to get into podcasting?
Ooh, the pandemic.
Okay.
Well, let me correct that. The pandemic is what got me to start podcasting. I did radio in Atlanta 11, 12 years ago. And so I really wanted to do radio again, but let me see, 2018, I had an opportunity to do a show on iHeart. Well, when the deal fell through, I was just like, okay, maybe it's not meant for me to come back and reboot what I used to do. I think sometimes we're trying to live in the yesteryear, and I was trying to make sure I wasn't stuck in a time period where I was popping. And, and so I was like, all right. And then a couple of my friends was like, 2 years later, you need to come back. The world needs to hear your voice. And I was like, I tried that. I tried to come back 2 years ago. It didn't work. It was like, nah, I do podcasting. What is that? Because I'm accustomed to radio. So podcasting I had heard about, but I wasn't sure how it worked in comparison to radio. And so we brainstormed and we created Off the Fence with Finch. And I was like, all right, I just want to have conversations with people. And more importantly, move people in a direction of life that enhances their lives, that enhances their careers, their finances, their relationships, and get their ass off the fence.
Yeah.
About where they're sitting in life so that they can be all that they can be and become the best version of themselves. So that's what really got me going with podcasting. And the pandemic, I mean, I had literally, I just did NASCAR yesterday, this past weekend.
Okay.
I had just finished NASCAR, March 2020, same date, and everything stopped. Like, so now you're looking at no work because the industry was shut down completely. And so I said, I need to put myself in a position where I don't have to physically be in a place to get paid. Because as a talent, you only get paid if you show up and if you only work it, And I came from working, I do college football. I am the host for the college football biggest tailgate on this side of the world.
Okay.
And so all that's gone. You're talking about a whole year with no sports, no outdoor events, no work. And I'm like, that can't be my life. That will not be the end of me. And so another way, and I think for me, podcasting was therapeutic too.
Okay.
Because it allowed me to talk to people and really get back into the groove of radio, but it was podcasting. And so that's kind of what inspired me and really got me going was just the pandemic, man, and being stuck in the house and not being able to do anything because life completely changed for everybody. So
I agree, because it was a brand new experience being here, period, for me, just to see downtown LA turn off.
Yes.
And I've expressed it on a couple other podcasts that, it definitely made you go back to the drawing board to see the whole music industry change down.
Yep.
And I was, doing more producing and stuff like that then. So yeah, it was something that was brand new. She started vlogging, and it was more of an addition to the studio. So we already had the recording stuff, and it was like, all right, we'll put do some investments and get some podcast stuff, and then go that way. And yeah, like you said, it became therapeutic when I turned off the music light, or basically the whole energy with that, and it shifted over into podcasts.
Yeah.
It was a real, positive energy, and it was a way to communicate, because of course, as a musician, people will put a title on you, and it's a certain level of respect that comes with it, and I've started to notice it. Got an opportunity to switch it up, and this was more of like, let me recreate myself. Music stuff is always going to be there, and started October 11th. It rained on the studio 2020, December 28th, 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, so they basically had to redo this whole room. We were off for about a year, and then we came back. They didn't have to. They left this up, so that's why this wall is still up. But this whole room was at the soundproof on it.
Oh my goodness!
And it was, it hurt a little bit to it was a lot that I put into it to put it together, and then I kind of really wasn't didn't have the energy and wasn't motivated to put it back up the same. So we just worked with what we got and slowly put things back together. And when we crunk up in the end of December, January, and signed up with Matchmaker FM, shout out to Matchmaker. Things been rolling. This is like our second podcast recording for the day.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's been moving. It's been therapeutic. It's something that I'm super grateful for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Podcasting is, I'm still learning it. I'm always amazed at the accomplishments. How long ago was that? Was that last month? With the Apple thing? January. That was it. So, like I said, we are in our fourth season of podcasting, of our show rather.
Okay.
And I'm looking at where we started versus where we are now. Like literally last week, we was named top 100 Black podcasts, and we landed at number 10.
Nice.
In January, thank you. And in January, we was named top 200 podcasts by Apple. So it's like, wow, man. And so the more I'm learning, I feel like with the show, and you guys may feel this with your show, I'm still trying to get my footing, like trying to find the niche of where I really want it to be. Am I really speaking the voice I want on my show? Is the show really me, or I'm just entertaining people? I don't believe in just doing it. It's like, are we making a difference? Are we impact? We was just talking about this on the way over here. I ain't gonna say no names, but like you look at certain people and they're not talking about anything.
Oh yeah. That's why the foundation, even with ours, is for me to learn something. So before this, it was more of a lot of stuff was evolved around music. So my attention span was kind of short. So now putting music completely to the side and now doing podcasting, we don't have really any. Our topics are pretty open, so we get people from different types of I'm learning about everything now, and that's basically what it was about. And so I can. It's just more genuine.
Yep.
I'm getting to meet people. They're not looking at me like a musician, and have me in this little bubble, and it's genuine. You know.
Do you feel like it's different from radio?
Yes and no. Radio, like we was looking at the radio show numbers the other day, and I was like, man, look at all the numbers we used to do, like on the air, but we had call-ins, we had a live chat going on. There was so many other elements, and I was on every day, well, not every day, Monday through Friday. That's the difference, because now we only do Tuesdays. What I'm saying? One day a week that we actually doing the show, but that's 7 days a week. Well, because we decided to stop working on Saturday, and we don't do any business on Saturday anymore. That's just our day, because we're working on the podcast literally 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, because
barely ever turn off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sundays I gotta be.
I give myself Sunday.
Yeah. Sundays off, and we go to the beach. We have our beach day to where.
Yep.
Gotta have a de-stress day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to disconnect, because when you don't disconnect, you just carry the workload and all the burdens that come with it, all of your self-imposed expectations, and when those things start to mount up, man, you're going to stay on the fence forever.
Yeah.
And so the difference for me is not having the date. Now, that's one of the things I miss. So that's kind of why I started doing my podcast live. Like we live stream the podcast, because I miss the interactions with people. Like I'm used to being on the show every day where I get to talk to people, the fans of the city, the fans of the show, fans of the station. They're calling in, they're talking to you, and I missed that when it came to podcasting. And so I was like, well, let's do live now on when we do the show, and we get a chance to talk to people in the comments. Not the same, but still a one-off for not being able to talk to people live. But I'm looking at ways to incorporate live call-ins, because I want to get back to that as well. But radio and podcasting just is the same to me, because you're talking to people. The difference is when I'm done doing it live, I have one audience there, but it's now going to be distributed. Apple, iHeart, Pandora, Spotify. So you're going to have a whole different audience that won't ever talk to you. You may not ever see their comments or how your topic or subject has impacted them. So unless they write into you, if you have that, and we have that, people can write in and give us, ask for advice. But outside of that, I think they're both in the same medium, and I love them both equally. It's almost like having two different children, and you got to love them both equally. Radio and podcasting, to me, is always going to be therapeutic, because it allows me to talk about stuff to people just like you. It allows me to learn people. I've met so many wonderful people doing radio and now doing podcasting that I wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to meet. I'm meeting y'all, what I'm saying? And so, it's like, I think for me, it's always that element of being able to connect with people of all walks of life, from all different parts of the world, and hearing their stories. And then I think one of the joys of what I do on my podcast is helping my guests get off the fence, and because a lot of them are experts, some of them are renowned. And so they may not look at themselves as sitting on the fence, but I have a unique opportunity to pull that out of them and help them move from where they are. Most times they're uncomfortable in a state because, just like you said, think about this for a second. They're accustomed to being in a bubble because of society's expectations of them due to what they do.
Yeah.
So oftentimes they don't know how to live themselves. And so when we start looking at podcasting, radio, or whatever medium we have to connect with people, we have to always utilize that to make a difference in their lives, because we might be looking at them coming on to do something for us, but in just, we can do something for them as well.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, I feel a lot of guests, or a lot of our guests have gotten something from us, and just as much as we get from them as well.
Yep.
Like you said, a lot of professionals and a bunch of different walks of life. Man, we've had some amazing guests that have been through some stuff that we've never been through, that couldn't imagine going through. It's still one guest that I think about is like, man, even as she's sitting there telling us her story of, being in the hospital, I'm in my mind, I'm like, this person didn't make it, but I'm sitting here talking to this person, but I'm still like, this is crazy. This is amazing. This is, so yeah, gratitude is one of the things. And even to go back to, being able to turn off certain things as a music producer, produce the song, write the song, record the song, promote the song. It was the whole hamster wheel that I had going, that, even going into this, it was like, all right, no, I'm gonna have some shut off moments, no doubt, to where, I don't have to worry. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just kind of, not going to stress it like that. And because the music anxiety really built up into a whole different ball game. And yeah, podcasting is definitely a safe space, you could say.
I used to be in the music business a long time ago. I had a record deal, and I was an artist. I wasn't a musician. I played the flute. So, long way from the flute and the clarinet, what I played in elementary school. But I understand how the industry works and how much of a hold it can have on you. And again, expectations, not just from it, but also from yourself, and when you look at the escape, for me, when I first moved here, my escape was always the beach. Always the beach. Because out at the beach, you got a chance to see life in motion, water moving, clouds moving, wind blowing, you know what I'm saying? People enjoying the fruits of the labors of the week, you know what I'm saying? And one of the things I learned, I remember having my rental car. I had a friend of mine rented me a car for a month, literally a month. And I told you guys when I moved here, I didn't have a car when I first moved here. And the friend got me this car because of the deal with Microsoft. Microsoft had a deal with Best Buy, so I had to travel. And I was like, I got to get around. So they was like, well, we got an extra car, but it's in the shop right now. So let us rent you a car for a month. And I remember when I first got that car, man, drove our way out to Chatsworth. Man, first thing I did when I got in that car and he gave me the keys, went to the beach, went to Malibu. And I used to go there every day because I learned being out there on the water also helps with your creativity, helps your mental. It frees your mind. Think about when you close your eyes and you hear the water, waves crashing on sand. Man, that's so refreshing.
Oh, yeah.
So I used to go there to escape, not just life, but also to, I think, infuse my creativity, because it allowed me to think about the next couple steps. You know what I'm saying? And so we haven't been to the beach in a minute, huh? We got to go.
Our favorite beach is Laguna.
Ooh.
Yeah, we actually go snorkel.
Have you been there? We got to go.
So
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what's your favorite beaches?
Man, I love Malibu, but Laguna.
We used to go to Malibu too.
They're like neck and neck for me.
Yeah.
I got to take you to Laguna.
Yeah. Yeah, Laguna is nice.
It's it's a different atmosphere there.
Seriously, yeah.
I had a knee injury. What year was that? Probably my second year here. And Laguna's where I used to go to rehab. And man, beautiful.
Yeah.
You think Malibu's beautiful? Laguna.
Yeah.
And they got that spot out there. What's that spot we drove way out to eat at? That had it had like the lobster roll. But they got one at the Laguna. If it's still open, it's been pandemic, so it may not survive. But yeah, it's surrounded. It's so beautiful. That's the place they have. What do they call that place? The 1,000 Steps.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Where we go, there's 1,000 Steps Beach. That's one of the popular ones.
Yeah.
We go to Crescent Bay, Shaw's Cove.
Where's that?
It's in Laguna. There's a bunch of beaches in Laguna.
How far? It's still on the PCH.
Yeah, I think it's before you get to 1,000 Steps.
Oh, okay.
It's probably like 15 minutes or so.
Okay. Okay.
We still haven't been to that one actually.
1,000 Steps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go there.
I've
heard about that one.
It's popular for snorkeling and stuff. It's a reserve there, so you can't fish or anything.
Wait a minute, black folks snorkel?
Yes.
Did you just hear them say they went snorkeling? Do you see them?
Whoever is listening, if you guys are into snorkeling, we're trying to recruit people because it's just two of us. And sometimes we want a group of people.
Man.
If a whale pull up or a seal, we want to be in a group.
Who gonna save you from a whale?
We've actually seen them pass by. We were on the shore, but we've seen them pass
more
by.
Dolphins.
You've never been in the water and one?
No.
We just came out the water, and I saw it pass where we were just swimming. Yeah. There's popular times, migration season, and California has a lot of dolphins. But there's people swim. I see people swimming towards them and swimming around them, so they're not really gonna mess with you. Yeah. And there's seals where we swim. We don't really get to see them when we're down there because I kind of know where they're gonna be, and I'm not gonna swim that way. But we've seen like stingrays, eels.
Wow.
And they're right there, right in the shore. Just, I bet
that's
moving
beautiful
around
to see.
Yeah, we have some YouTube videos that show some stuff. So
okay, I gotta check those out. Yeah,
but we're always looking for more people to join us because we're like, hey,
I want to go out a little further. She don't want to go out too far, but always looking, like I said, for some people.
So here's the question: snorkeling.
Yeah,
how far down do you have to go for it to be counted as a snorkel?
No, see, snorkeling is really more surface.
Oh, it's a surface.
It's really,
But you can dive. Like we go down, and as long as you can, because it will close up when you go below the water. So you can't breathe anymore. So however,
basically
you can hold your breath.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get into deep diving because people can hold their breath for like 6 minutes free diving. 6 minutes, and in that case, you can go down and explore a little bit longer.
6 minutes.
They say, you can hold your breath for a long time. Of course, you have to be taught.
You got to be conditioned for that.
Yeah. But the class though, they make it seem like it don't take long at all. They have you holding your breath from like 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, they promise
in
you
no time.
When you leave the class, you can hold it for I think like 3 minutes for beginners. And then you can build up to 6 minutes for like.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to taking the class. But they give the class in swimming pool. They'll teach you how to hold your breath there in the pool. They do more of the classes there, and then
she can't swim.
No, I can't.
You cannot swim?
I cannot.
Do you want to learn how to swim?
He likes teaching people.
So I can teach you how to swim in that pool out there. Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking, but I need someone who I can trust.
I got my lifeguard license at 15. Got my lifeguard license at 15.
Okay.
And I was a lifeguard for about 5-6 years. Always been swimming. My family, all my siblings have had the lifeguard license. Swimming is in the family. Cousins swim, and I taught a friend of ours. He's actually in Benin now.
Nice.
He's taught him how to swim basically.
Okay.
In that pool.
You got a good resume.
And it's life changing. I've taught plenty of kids. I have a specific formula. Yeah. It doesn't take much. Just once you get your glide right, you kick right, your arms going, and then get more comfortable with the water. And a lot of it is you being a little more comfortable in the water. Period.
Yeah.
And it'll allow you to kind of become one with the water and swim a lot better. But believe it or not, the ocean holds you up a whole lot better than the swimming pool.
Yeah, I was
salt water hold you up real easy.
Yeah.
And that's, with snorkeling. That's what makes snorkeling pretty fun. Once you get, the hang of it, you got your snorkeling, and just basically you're on the surface, and you just kind of, you can breathe.
Yeah.
And you're just on the top of the water with your fins, and you can go across the surface. Yeah.
Snorkeling. So what happens like if you go under and you're trying to hold your breath for the 6 minutes and you breathe?
Well, you're gonna get some.
You're gonna take in
get
water.
Some water in your body, but as long as you can get back to the, the top, and to get, as long as you don't pass out under there, then you'll be okay. Yeah.
I'm still out of shape, so I go right down and come right back up because I can't hold.
And I haven't conditioned my oxygen yet, but I'm looking forward to taking the free diving classes and everything. I have big old fins and everything.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah.
Because I think when you talked about deep diving,
free diving.
It's like free diving.
Free
diving. Yeah.
So how far down would that take you?
Oh, they go. It depends on your expertise. They go. Yeah.
They go.
Especially if they can hold that breath for about, they do it as a sport. So, it's hold your breath for about 7 minutes. They go all the way down. There's different techniques that come with it. I'm trying to do it more just for fun. Just, I want to be able to hold my breath for at least 5 or 6 minutes and go down there and see some stuff. And, but scuba diving it's a little different. Requires a lot more. I don't have any experience with that either, but, you have to take some classes and can't come up, immediately. There's a lot of rules that come along with it. It's pretty technical to me. So I haven't really just pushed towards scuba diving versus, I think for me personally, I feel a little better if I can just hold my breath, go down there, do what I can do, and come on back up. Yeah. But I really would like to encourage any swimmers that would like to, come swim with us at Laguna Beach.
That sounds like an invitation, even for the non-swimmers.
Well, I would like to teach you how to swim first. It does make me nervous if you can't swim around the ocean. The ocean has no respect.
Oh, different animal.
It will hold you up, but still.
That's about it, though. It'll hold you up to the top. But if you get caught in that wave the wrong way,
he said you're not gonna drown on his watch. You're not gonna do that.
Get your swimming lessons. I'm definitely interested in some swimming lessons. So
it's heating up, so definitely, let me know. And that's something that's really kind of been on me a little bit in putting out something to teach people or to see if just get students every once in a while. Not a lot of people, but just kind of maybe teaching some people, taking some swimming lessons every once in a while, because it was pretty inspiring when I taught my friend and I could see the energy that he had and the confidence that how much better he felt, period. And it matters. Swimming does matter. But Black people swim. Black people do swim good.
That's for certain. Black people do swim.
Black people do swim. So don't think that stereotype that Black people don't know. Black people swim good. So I guess we're running around probably around the hour mark. We're not going to hold you too long. I think actually, even though it's still a lot, I'd rather talk about with LA because, we just won Super Bowl and all this other stuff, So, but before closing it out, is there anything you would, like to let the people know or share with us? Any projects that you're working on? Because it's been super inspiring sitting there talking to you. Like I said, I can go on for days, a little bit more, but you are one of the few that have come in. So I'm gonna definitely leave some room for you to come back.
Oh, good.
Definitely grateful that you brought your lovely wife with you.
Thank y'all.
And we've been waiting on this 4 mic thing. We love the 4 mic thing. So hopefully
I'm glad
we can even put something else together in the future for those that's listening, or even just if you have any creative idea. Also, I have some ideas out there that I often want to have, but I don't know anybody out there either. we don't really have that many friends. We keep our head down when we working and stuff, but would love to put something special together, bring some people in, have some conversations. We maybe even switch up mics. I can get up and let somebody else have the mic, maybe put something together fun like that.
Let's do it.
By the pool. maybe, you know.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Because
Yeah.
you know, we talking about building a community. You know, like I think oftentimes, especially here in LA could be cliquish at times, like a lot
Yeah.
of places. Atlanta's like that too, and it's always contingent upon who you know. You know, and I think oftentimes in our space, we don't often create a community of people, like-minded individuals who we
Right.
can create. I think if I get with you and you, and we all collectively come up with ideas, I have some strengths that may not be your strengths. You got some strengths that may not be my strengths, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And if we work together and nobody has to be the man or the woman, you know, we can build a community where we can create content and it's like mind blowing. You know, I'm
Yeah.
all about life changing aspects. You know, when I'm thinking about one of my struggles over the last year or so has been, what do I want to do next? You know, what do I want to create next? And we just came up with a host of new ideas of things that we want to do. And my wife's telling me about scheduling and doing it because I'll have it in my mind. I'll have it. I'll even write it down. I'll put it in my phone. But sometimes we are bombarded with life, paying bills, living, all those types of things that we don't allow the creative things that unlocks the door for the opportunities we desire to manifest for us. And so I think it's cool when you have like-minded individuals who are creatives and you get together and you guys feed off one another and you make each other better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think since I've been here in LA, I mean, I had some friends here because I used to come here for work, you know, prior to moving here. So I had people I know here, but I've always dreamed of creating this community. And that's something me and her talk about often is like building a community of people who you guys can help one another with projects and things, and you're creative because there's a lot of people doing that. Like you got the Kevs on stages and you got the Tony
Yeah.
Bakers. Those guys started
Yeah.
out here in LA. You know, they didn't know each other prior to that, but they've built that relationship, that rapport with one another, and they've built a community over a span of I don't know how many years, but now you see them in each other's things all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, I think sometimes when you meet people, and I'm pretty leery on relationships at times because when you move to a new place, and although I know people here, I've never really gotten to the space of building and growing with people on projects because I wasn't doing I wasn't in the industry. I took a break from the industry for years, you know. So it was like, well, I don't know those people anymore and they don't know me because I became detached. You know, you
Right.
take 10 years off, people forgotten about you, you know. So I think we're at that space now where it's like, let's build a community of like-minded people so that we can all assist each other and we can grow. And we have what's the favorite word you like to use, babe?
What?
Buku. For those listening, that means a lot
A lot
of buku of content, you know,
Yeah.
that helps feed people and help feed people's families. And I'm not just talking about feeding them monetarily, but also feeding their soul, feeding their spirit, feeding the people, feeding their minds, you know, getting people to think differently so that they can move differently and they can be different. So, you know, that's kind of what we're working on is building this Finch rich empire and growing with people here in LA. You know what I'm saying? It's like she from New Orleans, she lived in Houston, having relationships there. Everything I've ever done that was successful came from the relationships I built. You know what I'm saying? My first big tour project that I was on came from the relationship I built with vice president of Wells Fargo at the time. My next big thing came from another relationship. So I always believe in building healthy win-win relationships with people. And when you have that mindset to do that, everybody always wins and everybody always eats.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I guess I do appreciate even about podcasting. A lot of my music relationships in the past, they just weren't the healthiest and just
Yeah.
didn't go in the success way that I really looked forward to. But yeah, podcast, it allows a completely different energy of people.
Yep.
And
places like Matchmaker is a great place because it allows you to connect with other like-minded podcasters, and you guys can feed off of one another and build with one another on your content and grow. So, I have an opportunity to be here with you guys today. So, we got to have an opportunity for you guys to be on my show.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And like I said, I'm grateful just to have you here. I love your shades.
Yeah. These are my reading glasses.
You're not lying, y'all.
I love them though. And it's been, like I said, very genuine and magical feeling to have you. I really appreciate both of you coming.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yes.
We've enjoyed being here for sure.
We have.
And any links and everything where our listeners can.
Oh yeah. So just everything, we have this headquarters. You just go to itsfinch.com and you can go everywhere from there. Social media, YouTube, wherever I'm connected, you can connect right at the hub at itsfinch.com.
Okay.
You ain't got no last word, babe? You got to give them some New Orleans before you get out of here. Something. You heard me or something.
I'm right about that because it's actually Mardi Gras. So.
You know what? Hold on. Before we close out, I guess to go to New Orleans. Were you in New Orleans for Katrina?
Yes, I was.
Oh.
Yes, I was. I don't know how much time we have to share that whole story, but it was definitely an experience, life-changing to say the least. But I was actually in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina and stayed after. Like I was there once the hurricane hit, walked outside, talked to my people across the street at the Marriott Hotel from, where we were staying at. And things just seemed normal for a few days, but life took a drastic change like the Thursday after Katrina hit. And by that time we were running low on water, food, supplies. And I just remember these buses coming and they were like, y'all got to get on these buses and leave out of the city. And I'm like, leave out of what city? I thought we were going back to the house. Like, I just have a couple of clothes, I bought my little PE shorts so I could lounge around in. And I'm thinking I'm going back to school, No, I was with my mother, my grandmother, my aunts, my brother, a couple of close family. And we ended up evacuating from New Orleans to Baton Rouge to Shreveport. And it was like the worst time ever in life. I was displaced from, what I grew up knowing, family, friends, just having that, walking out of your house and seeing your loved ones, realizing that that's never going to happen again. Because the next time I went back to Katrina was 6 months later. I mean, went back to New Orleans was 6 months later. And some of those people who lived across the street for many, many years, like they didn't make it or they weren't coming back. I had my grandfather, true New Orleans, like to the day he died, he refused to leave his house. He had a house in the lower ninth ward with my grandmother. And, he told her, oh, yeah, I'm going to meet y'all. Y'all go ahead. They went to Mississippi. Came back, found him a couple of months later, like in the attic. He was like, I'm chilling. I'm going to stay here. So it was life-changing, realizing that, the New Orleans that I grew up knowing would never be the same. And I've gone back home, since then because I had a totally different outlook on life. I had an opportunity growing up to, travel the world at a young age, be a part of different programs that allowed me to connect with people and see different parts of the world. And so I just remember thinking, oh, I can't wait to get out of New Orleans. And then Katrina happened. I was like, I'm never leaving New Orleans. I want to stay here,
Wow.
But it was because of the connections, having your family, your friends,
condition.
Yeah, just all taken away from a place that you know and love. It was crazy.
How does it look to you now?
Oh, it looks different. I mean, it looks different every time. I grew up in New Orleans East, which is like east side of the Ninth Ward. So where you guys probably have heard all of the crazy stuff with, levees being blown up and flooding taking over, homes and stuff. I remember when I went back, it was a smell like no other. And like to this day, that smell just, I can smell mold, and I'm like, it makes me sick to my stomach, to where I just kind of ball up in the inside, because I never want to smell that feeling. I feel that again, right? But it looked different that first time going back, like, this really happened. Like, everything we had was gone. Like, I remember taking pictures growing up and not having, I mean, our pictures were mildew and molded, and you couldn't even make out those things, right? So that's why I'm so attached to taking photos and capturing a moment and living in the present, because you only have right now. And you can't worry about all of those other things that are materialistic in life. So every time I go back to New Orleans, it just makes me appreciate family more, because it's like, this city was wiped out, right? And it has, I mean, resilient people, resilient place. The food is good. If you've never been to New Orleans, I strongly urge
It's
you
been a
get that
long time for me.
experience.
I
Yeah.
haven't been, actually.
Oh man.
You've never been?
No, never been.
Ooh.
I say all of these things about, you know, living through Katrina and having everything taken away from you. But the one thing you cannot take away from New Orleans people is the soul. And we are some resilient people who will give you all, you know, give you a good time, give you a good laugh, give you a good story, give you some good wisdom to help you maneuver through life, because we've been through it, and understanding what it means to really bounce back, you know, not let something, adversity or just things in life, take you to a space where you feel like you can never come back from, because it's possible. You know, when you hit that rock bottom, sometimes it's like, damn, that's it.
Yeah.
But when you realize, it's like, yeah, that's it, but you only have no other place but to go up.
Right.
So, you know, being from New Orleans and experiencing Katrina definitely taught that to me. And every chance I get, whether it's going back home for crawfish or just sitting in families, you know, living room, things look different, but it's a reminder that, yeah, we made it. So it's definitely an experience. I try not to talk too much about it.
We definitely gonna dive deeper into that on
Yeah.
on the I guess the next time we get a chance to come together, because you know I was there in Mississippi, in Jackson, Mississippi, when it happened. So it was just a different experience, and it's like, yeah, it's a long time ago as we think about it, but it was still an experience like no other. So I definitely would like to, you know, we're gonna touch on that the next time we come together as well.
Yes.
When we go to New Orleans, what's one restaurant we have to try?
Uh-oh.
Or
If
two.
it's still there.
Because I don't know. Y'all going to have to pay me for an ad, because I'm going to throw my kitchen in if I call out a certain restaurant. Because one thing about New Orleans, you will find food everywhere, but sometimes it comes from just somebody's kitchen. You know, it doesn't have to necessarily be a restaurant.
Gotcha.
Like the spices, the, you know, seafood, the different things that we put into our food is made with love. So, you know, I can't call out one restaurant without thinking about 10 other ones. It's really an experience. So I'm going to say my kitchen. So maybe next time we get together, I'll cook y'all something from New Orleans so you can understand. You know, because I don't know when the next time y'all may be able to get to it. But one thing, I'm going to give y'all a New Orleans experience. So
She's East African, so she also understands that, I guess, when it comes to the cooking. You know, she always say, you know, somebody at home can cook a little bit better than most of the restaurants.
Yeah, because the restaurant is for other cultures, and it's just, it's never the same.
It's never the same. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some really good restaurants. I've been trying to convince this one. He's a tough critic. I may have spoiled him a little bit. But there are a few of my favorites. I'll tell you one. It's this place called Neo's. If you don't get to New Orleans, they do have locations in Houston. And I think they're actually about to open up a location in Atlanta. But it's a family-owned seafood, New Orleans style. I mean, they've got red beans and rice, crawfish etouffee. You got oysters on the, you know, grilled, char grilled, gumbo, praline, cheesecake,
flavor,
all the good stuff. So yeah, if you definitely get a chance to try Neo's, I would say.
Is that one of the places?
Okay.
Yeah, we had Neo's and you loved it.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Don't do New Orleans.
I'm not going to. We was just there in January, and I wasn't all that impressed. I just think it was some of the choices the places. It was probably the time of day that they delivered the food. And
No,
what was it?
it wasn't none of that.
What was
y'all.
it?
It was Uber Eats.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you got fresh hot seafood.
Oh,
You got to
yeah.
eat that fresh and hot.
Yeah.
But when it's being delivered to you, it's just not the same.
Right.
Versus a fresh hot plate coming at you.
And I don't eat seafood all the time, so I'm saying I'm kind of a critic as well, so I can understand.
And same for him. So I try
which
the
place?
variety.
Which food did we have from that place you talking
about? So we had like stuffed shrimp.
All of that would be new
good
for me.
Yeah.
You never had stuffed shrimp before?
Not at least not New Orleans style.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sure I'm positive I haven't.
It's a different taste.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
some cornbread dressing. So I don't know if you.
Oh yeah, I like dressing.
I like dressing.
Yeah, we do dressing.
Yeah, you tried to eat all of it. I had to hide it. So.
Oh, that was good. That was
Yeah.
Now you're making me hungry.
It sound like her. I had to
myself
hide
hungry,
it.
y'all. I told y'all at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
But one thing, I live and love and breathe food. So
Yeah.
I'm always down to talk about good food, good restaurants, good places to eat, whether it's New Orleans or not. Oh, thank you, babe.
I don't want you to mess up these good people's recordings.
Yeah.
But we'd like to thank our listeners and our viewers for listening in. It's been an amazing conversation, great energy.
Yeah.
Like I said, definitely grateful to have both of you here again.
And you can find the podcast at AmericanGypC.com. And like Finn said, it's a headquarters. You can find links to our merch, consistent self-improvement merch, as well as classics music.
You can find music at Classic, KLACCIK, Carpenter, CARPENTA. Sorry.
It's been a long day.
Yeah. Spotify, iTunes, Tidal, YouTube, all major platforms. Some cello music, a couple of vocals, some instrumental stuff. Thank you again, and consistent self-improvement to everybody. Thank you, and peace.